There is a province in northeast Thailand with ancient temples, a vast sacred lake, some of the most distinctive food in the country, and forests that have barely been touched by the tourism industry. It has a Lao-style stupa that has drawn Buddhist pilgrims for over 500 years. It has a lake festival in October that is, by any reasonable measure, one of the most beautiful things that happens in Thailand. It receives almost no foreign visitors. Not because it is difficult to reach, not because it is expensive or dangerous or lacking in things to see and do, simply because the travel industry decided, decades ago, that Thailand meant Bangkok, Chiang Mai, and the Southern Islands, and the rest of the country was left largely off the map. The province is called Sakon Nakhon. This is the first episode of a series about it. Sakon Nakhon sits in the upper northeast of Thailand, in the region known as Isaan, a vast, flat, largely agricultural plateau that covers roughly a third of the country's total land area. The province borders Laos to the north and east along the Mekong River corridor, and is surrounded by other Isaan provinces that are themselves rarely visited by international travelers. It is not on the way to anywhere that the standard Thailand itinerary includes. Reaching it requires a decision, not a long or difficult one, but a deliberate one. The provincial capital, also called Sakon Nakhon, is a mid-sized Thai city of around 75,000 people. It has the infrastructure of a functioning, self-sufficient place: hospitals, universities, markets, restaurants, transport links, rather than the infrastructure of a tourist destination. There are guest houses and small hotels. There are no international resort chains. The prices reflect what local people are willing to pay, rather than what foreign visitors can be persuaded to spend. At the center of the province sits Nong Han, the largest natural lake in northeast Thailand. It covers approximately 480 square kilometers, depending on the season, and is shallow enough that water hyacinths and lotus fields spread across large sections of its surface. In the dry season, the lake retreats, and the exposed mudflats attract thousands of migratory birds. In the wet season, it rises, and the surrounding paddy fields merge with the water into a single, flat expanse of green and silver. It is the kind of landscape that people who grew up near the sea tend to underestimate until they are standing at its edge at 6 a.m, watching the mist come off the water. The absence of foreign tourism in Sakon Nakhon is not a temporary condition or a consequence of the pandemic years. It is structural. It predates those events by decades, and it will outlast whatever the current travel trends happen to be. The reasons are partly geographical. The province is not coastal, which removes it from the beach tourism circuit that dominates so much of Thailand's international profile. Partly historical. The Northeast has always been the least developed and least marketed region of the country, a fact that reflects long-standing economic and political patterns that have nothing to do with what the region actually offers. And partly, it must be said, a matter of inertia. Travelers go where other travelers have already been. Reviews accumulate, infrastructure grows, itineraries are copied. The feedback loop of mass tourism is self-reinforcing, and Sakon Nakhon sits entirely outside it. What that means practically is this: the temples here are empty. The morning markets serve local residents, not tour groups. The lake shore in the early morning has fishermen on it, not photographers with tripods. The guest houses are run by people whose business model does not depend on foreign visitors, which means the interaction, when it happens, is genuine rather than transactional. This is not a romanticized version of poverty or underdevelopment. Sakon Nakhon is a functioning modern Thai city with good roads, fast internet, and all the conveniences of contemporary life. The emptiness is not deprivation. It is simply the condition of a place that has not yet been processed by the tourism industry. and that carries, as a result, a quality of ordinary life that is increasingly difficult to find in the parts of Thailand that have been. Beyond the lake and the capital, Sakon Nakhon province spreads across a landscape of rice paddies, small market towns, rubber plantations, and forested hills. To the west and south, the Phu Phan mountain range forms a natural boundary with the adjacent provinces, a national park covering 650 square kilometers of dense jungle, sandstone formations, and waterfalls. The park sees a fraction of the visitor numbers of more famous Thai national parks. On weekdays, particularly outside school holiday periods, it is possible to walk its trails for hours without encountering another person. The province has a significant place in Thai Buddhist history that extends well beyond its borders. Ajahn Mun Bodhisattva, one of the most revered Buddhist monks of the 20th century and the founder of the Thai forest tradition that has influenced Buddhist practice across the world, spent the final years of his life in the forests of Sakon Nakhon and died here in 1949. The monastery where he lived, Wat Pa Sutawat, remains an active place of pilgrimage for Thai Buddhists, and the forest tradition he established continues to draw serious meditation practitioners to the region's forest monasteries. The province is also the center of one of Thailand's most significant silk weaving traditions. The textiles produced here, particularly the mud mi ikat silk, in which the threads are tie-dyed before weaving to create complex geometric patterns, are considered among the finest in the country. The weaving is done in villages across the province, often by women who learned the technique from their mothers and grandmothers, and the patterns carry within them a visual language that has been passing between generations for centuries. These are not tourist attractions in the conventional sense. They are simply things that exist here, that have always existed here, and that are accessible to anyone who arrives with a degree of patience and curiosity. The practicalities of reaching Sakon Nakhon are straightforward and inexpensive. Nok Air and Air Asia operate direct flights from Bangkok's Don Muang Airport. The flight takes approximately 1 hour. Booked in advance, fares are consistently below 2,000 baht, around $50 US, in both directions. For those who prefer overland travel, an overnight bus from Bangkok's Mochit terminal covers the journey in approximately 9 hours and costs between 500 and 800 baht, depending on the class of service. The journey passes through the flat, agricultural heart of Isaan, arriving early in the morning when the city is just beginning to wake up. There is also a train to Udon Thani, a larger city 3 hours west by road, from which the final connection by bus or shared taxi is straightforward and cheap. This route adds time, but removes the need to fly. Within the province, the standard mode of transport for visitors is the Songtao, the covered pickup truck that operates as a shared taxi on fixed routes within the city, and hired motorcycle taxis for shorter distances. The road infrastructure is good. The distances between the main points of interest are manageable. A base in the city allows day trips to the lake, the national park, the outlying temples, and the weaving villages without the need to move accommodation. The timing of a visit to Sakon Nakhon matters considerably. The cool season, running from November through February, is the most comfortable period. Temperatures drop to the low to mid-20s during the day and can fall below 20 degrees at night. Genuinely cool by Thai standards, particularly in the early morning. The skies are clear, the light is exceptional, and the paddy fields are either gold with ripening rice or freshly harvested and open to the horizon. October deserves particular attention. It is the month of Ok Pansa, the end of the Buddhist rains retreat, and the lake festival that Sakon Nakhon holds to mark this occasion is one of the genuinely extraordinary events in the Thai calendar. Illuminated boats are launched onto Nong Han Lake at night. The shore fills with local families. The water carries hundreds of candle flames out into the darkness. The following episode in this series is dedicated to that festival and to the lake that hosts it. April should be avoided. It is the height of the hot season across all of Isaan, and temperatures in Sakon Nakhon regularly reach 40 degrees Celsius or above. The province does not have the coastal breezes that make the same temperatures in the south tolerable. It is simply too hot for comfortable travel. Sakon Nakhon is, by any measure, an inexpensive destination. Guesthouse accommodation in the city ranges from 300 to 600 baht per night for a clean, fan-cooled room. Air-conditioned rooms at the better small hotels sit between 600 and 1,200 baht. There are no five-star resorts and no boutique hotels at international prices, which means the ceiling on accommodation costs is considerably lower than in the parts of Thailand that have been developed for foreign tourism. Food at the morning markets and roadside stalls costs between 30 and 80 baht per dish. A complete meal, sticky rice, grilled chicken, somtam, and a cold drink, can be assembled for under 200 baht at any market in the province. The restaurants that cater primarily to local residents, which is most of them, price accordingly. Transport within the province is similarly cheap. A songtao ride within the city costs 20 to 30 baht. A hired motorcycle for a full day of independent exploration of the countryside costs between 2 and 300 baht. The overall daily budget for a comfortable visit, accommodation, food, local transport, and the occasional entrance fee to a national park or temple, sits reliably between 800 and 1,500 baht, roughly 25 to 45 US dollars. This is not budget travel in the sense of sacrifice or compromise. It is simply what things cost in a Thai city that has not applied a tourist markup to its economy, because it has not needed to. If this is the kind of travel content you have been looking for, honest, unhurried, going deeper than the surface, subscribe. Every week, this series goes further into Sakon Nakhon and the hidden corners of Isaan. There is a quality to Sakon Nakhon that is difficult to name precisely, but easy to recognize once you are there. It is the quality of a place that is not performing for anyone. The morning market is not arranged for photographs. The temple is not staffed for explanations. The lake shore at dawn has no vendors, no boat tours, no infrastructure of any kind. Just the water, the mist, and the fishing boats moving slowly in the gray light before sunrise. Thai cities that receive large numbers of foreign visitors inevitably develop a layer of mediation between the visitor and the place. A layer of English menus, of tuk-tuk tours, of souvenirs and photo opportunities, and experiences packaged for consumption. This is not a criticism. It is a natural consequence of scale, and it serves a genuine purpose for many travelers. Sakon Nakhon does not have this layer. What is there is what is there. The Buddhist practice at Wat Pratat Chong Chum is the same whether a foreign visitor is present or not. The silk weaving in the villages follows its own patterns and its own calendar. The food in the markets is the food that local people eat. This makes Sakon Nakhon a more demanding destination in some respects. It asks a degree of self-direction that a well-developed tourist infrastructure removes the need for. It offers less in the way of guidance and more in the way of discovery. For the right kind of traveler, that is precisely the point. Over the following 5 episodes, this series will move through Sakon Nakhon in detail. The temples, including Wat Pratat Chong Chum, the great white stupa at the center of the province, and the forest monasteries that carry one of the most significant traditions in Thai Buddhism. The lake, Nong Han in all its moods, and the October festival that transforms its surface into something that has to be seen to be fully understood. The food, the morning markets, the fermented traditions, the dishes that exist here in forms that Bangkok restaurants can approximate, but not replicate. The forests and the countryside, the Phupan Mountains, the silk-weaving villages, the waterfalls that receive visitors in double figures on a busy day. And finally, the complete practical guide. Every detail needed to plan a visit, from the flight booking to the final morning at the lake. The next episode begins at the most important place in the province, a stupa that has stood at the center of this community for 5 centuries. A temple that is, on an ordinary Tuesday morning, completely empty of foreign visitors, and more interesting for it. That episode is next week.
This is Travel Savvy Thailand. New episodes every week.
If Sakon Nakhon is somewhere you would consider visiting, or if you've already been and recognize what has been described here, leave a comment below. Everyone gets a reply.